All right, good morning. Welcome everybody to the channel. I need my coffee this morning. 8 o'clock came very fast. I was up early and then all of a sudden the morning got away from me. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get onto I better get my coffee finished and get onto that live stream today. So welcome. Let's see who's here. Say hi. If hopefully we have some of the regulars here. Maybe there'll be some new people. For those that are watching this on the replay, we do a live stream. We try and get on every weekday, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock Pacific time. So if you are following up and watching it on the replay, possibly come over one time and see if you can catch it live. Definitely today, I guess, first off on the start, lots happening on the weekend with everything going on with FTX. I know there's a few crypto investors on the channel, but definitely lots happening with that. Over the weekend, I was glued to Twitter and listening to a whole bunch of stuff kind of happening. So definitely not a good thing for the industry. But I think weed out these bad players. Eventually, they all seem to get weeded out, and hopefully everything can kind of keep moving forward and building stronger. So let's just say good morning to people who are here. Sharma's here, welcome. Good morning, and Stan, good morning, welcome back both. Great to have everybody here. If everybody is watching hasn't hit that like button yet, hit the like button. That's the one time we'll get to say it. And good morning, Nadia. Hopefully you have your coffee this morning. I do have mine. Quiet weekend, other than just catching up on some news and things like that. And I think for the market, like, let me know obviously in the comments what people are watching today. I always do a poll kind of on the weekend on the community tab, asking how everybody thinks the market's going to be doing. And it was actually pretty, let me just go into it and see how it finalized here. It I believe was pretty mixed. So, well, 27% said up, 49% said down, and 24% said even. So it seems to be today we're kind of just flat for the most part. As we know, everything can kind of change by the afternoon, but we'll see how that goes. No plans. And good morning, Abigail. Sunshine. I guess it's sunny where you are. I'm not sure where you are, but it's nice that it's sunny. It was kind of a lousy weekend out here, but didn't get out much. Just the way it worked. But yeah, so we'll see what the market. Obviously, no plans for me to do any kind of purchase yet. Be towards more the end of the month once payday comes through, and still focus on the core. I guess is kind of the main thing for me. There was a few people that had left comments on the last time talking about I can never pronounce it. Algonquin Power, and it's not AQ, it's AQN, and it's not doing well today either. It's down actually. Looking today, like 13% on the day as well. So that's not great. It almost makes it's. I mean, the market. So it's just so crazy in terms of these swings with everything. It makes my Bitcoin look not so, like the drop's not so bad all of a sudden when a larger company like that can drop 13% in one day. It's pretty crazy when you think it's usually fairly consistent, just so I guess that's the key out there is just be careful. Don't go in on everything don't put all of your eggs in one basket, and do some research and don't put all your money into investments. I think especially right now, I think it's easy to maybe we had like I did an update on my channel on the weekend and posted it. Now, we had a decent week last week, everybody, but it's easy to, I think, maybe get sucked into that, and don't just stick with your plan. I'm sticking with my plan, so not don't fall into that exuberance that might be only 1 or 2 days, as we're kind of seeing a bit flat today. So we'll see how things carry on. If anybody does have any questions, though, we've got a bunch of people watching. Just drop them as always into the chat. We'll try and go through. It's always if anybody has anything in particular on their mind, definitely jump into the chat. The big thing on the weekend, obviously with everything that happens with FTX, and there were some questions actually on a couple of my videos asking about, because Wealthsimple does have crypto. Is it safe? Is it safe to keep it there, et cetera, et cetera? Now, I think from the research I did a bit more research over the weekend. I don't have like any substantial holding in crypto on Wealthsimple. But in terms of doing some research, they do have it with a third-party custodian that they have, and it seems to be fairly secure from what I've read. They do have a really good FAQ section. One thing to be aware of: the big issue with FTX is they were using other people's deposits in crypto for lending that out to another company they own. So if Wealthsimple doesn't lend your crypto, they basically just are holding it. So more secure that way. So I didn't find anything that jumped out at me in that. That being said, the big thing and the big kind of education point on that is when you do own any type of cryptocurrency, as in terms of coins or tokens, Bitcoin, for example, you can always take it off an exchange. So you have to use the exchange to buy it, obviously. But if you do have that flexibility, especially with Wealthsimple, if we're talking about Wealthsimple, but all the exchanges to transfer that out, and you do want to transfer it into your own wallet. There's different types of wallets. You can get ones that are on your phone. You can get ones that aren't even connected to the internet. You just connect it when you need to connect it, like the Ledger is one of them. There's a few different brands. Check those out. Definitely worth the investment. And you can take off of an exchange, so you don't have to worry about possibly losing your coins. So something to be aware of. If you're not sure on that, definitely do that research, I think, before investing in any type of crypto investment that you are thinking of doing, and take custody of it, just so you're protected, just in case, because you do never know. That's the public service announcement that I have. There's a lot of you'll find there's a ton of channels on YouTube if you're looking for how to do it, on all the different, because it can be a bit confusing when you first start, especially, but there's a lot of information out there on how to do it. I think even Wealthsimple has a few pages on how to transfer it off, and I have transferred off of Wealthsimple some stuff. It's very straightforward. The hardest part is making sure your wallet is set up properly. That's completely kind of separate. But if you look at something like a Ledger, you can order it online, order it directly from Ledger. You can get it on Amazon. It does all the checks to make sure it's legitimate when you're setting it up, and it walks you through. It's fairly straightforward. So that's a little PSA. Coming on out of that. So we'll see how the whole FTX thing, pans out, but not good for investors that were in that. So, but other than that, like the market pretty flat today. I guess there's more earnings coming through this week from Home Depot, or some ones, Home Depot, Target, Walmart, some of the retail. So we'll see how that pans out with what's happening going forward. So let me know, is anybody planning on, I guess this week would be, did anybody purchase anything this morning yet? It's always kind of interesting to hear if anybody bought anything or has, possibly sold something or something on their radar. It's always interesting to hear what the sentiment is out there with the market and what they're doing. I guess another question was, has anybody set up, I noticed this setting up with Wealthsimple. When you log in now, you can see the automatic deposits. Now, has anybody set that up to do like an automatic deposit into your TFSA every Monday or something, for example? I haven't yet. That might be something I look into in the new year, maybe. And more Fortis. There you go. Good. Yeah, that's a popular one as well. As I get comfortable here, yeah, that one's always popular. It seems like there's like a handful of the Canadian. There's the favorites, right? It's like there's like Telus, Fortis, the banks. There's that core, probably like 10 or 15 stocks that are very popular in Canada that probably can't go wrong with. You think. And I did notice that change to spare. Welcome back to the channel as always. I have seen that. Now, it's always the case of seeing something you want to try and dollar cost average down on, and then you just don't have the budget to be, it's not in the budget to jump on more. But I did notice that it was down, like Tesla, and I can't remember if you own the CDR of Tesla or not, but I can't remember that. Let me know. but it is down today. Like the CDR is down 2.4%. Let's see what actual Tesla is. And Tesla is down. Yeah, it's roughly the same, 2.66%. So under $200 for Tesla. CDR. Yeah, I think most of the people Change the Spirit on the channel do have CDRs. I think Candace, I don't know if she's watching, but I think she has some Tesla, actual Tesla. I don't want to say it's actual Tesla. It is kind of, whatever, but Tesla US dollar stock. That's the CDR is good because it's a nice price, right? It makes it easy to kind of get into, although you can do the fractional shares, but it just kind of makes things simpler, especially if you don't have a US account, which I don't yet. Lots of people have asked if I'm ever going to get a US account. There's no plans at this point. I think the only real US stock that I wanted to buy, a lot of them are covered by the CDR, so you get so you can kind of do it that way anyways. That's just kind of what I have jumped into. And the price is mostly, it's a bit more accessible to start a position. So we'll see how the week pans out. It's kind of we might get some. I'm not sure if there's any kind of big news and stuff coming up. Like last week we had the CPI. I think we're kind of through that for the States anyways. Canada has a rate announcement. I believe it's December. I can never remember all the dates. Let me look that up. When their next one is, I think is it the 5th of December? Let me see. Dates, schedule, December. No, I was wrong. So I said the 5th. It's actually the 7th. So we'll know what Canada's going to be doing on December 7th with rates going up. I think there's kind of, we'll see what happens. Obviously, inflation coming down in the States. I think with the rates, let me know in the comments what everybody else thinks. But I think we're going to have I think we'll see it as a bit of a slowdown. I think so far that could change by this afternoon. It's like checking the weather it's like checking the weather sometimes. It's like, what's the weather doing? And then you wait, I don't know, just wait half an hour and then you'll know. Like it's just so much, there just seems to be so much happening in everything. It's pretty crazy. So December 7th is the next one, which is coming up quickly. It's crazy how quick this year has actually gone. We're already middle of November, which is crazy. So this year, at least for me anyways, seemed to go really, really fast. It seems like each year always goes really, really fast. It seems like just yesterday it was summer in August, so enjoying the sunshine. So it's it'll be Christmas before we know it, which will also be interesting to see what people are doing for spending at Christmas, right? I don't know. It might be. I'm not a big Christmas spender, anyways. I don't know what other people in here have started. What they're thinking this year, but I think a lot of people might be kind of pinching, which is nothing wrong with pinching pennies. Maybe pinching their pennies a bit more at Christmas. There was actually on Candace's live stream, we were talking about that. She was mentioning Christmas a little bit, and I think this year people will be probably, hopefully, looking at ways to kind of make it a bit more economic. You can still do a lot of things without spending a lot of money, without going crazy on gifts and everything else. So we'll see how that actually pans out. Because people always seem to get their credit card bills in January, so it's easy to spend, and then all of a sudden you get your credit card bill and you're like, oh, that's when people start to feel it. So I don't know if people's will change. It's funny because I noticed my neighbor. I was outside this morning going for a walk, and my neighbor, they already had their Christmas tree up in the window. So it's like, holy, people are jumping. I think Remembrance Day is over, and everybody has their tree up. I don't. Already seems like so new. So I think for Christmas instead of gifts, it would be I'll buy myself some stocks and something instead of doing that. Big presents and gifts for everybody. And so there we go. Any more questions? Let me know. Always appreciate it. Lots of people watching. Don't be shy. I guess is the big thing. Is we always seem to have more and more people on jumping on the live stream. So make sure if you're subscribed, you can definitely jump in and ask a question. Happy to always answer people's questions the best I can, or if I can. A lot of times there's somebody in the comment section that can point you in the right direction if I'm not able to going forward. I didn't pull up a ton of news today, other than the couple things I did want to talk about. But there was one thing that I found really interesting, and I've been getting more into Twitter, and there's lots of it in the news with Elon Musk buying Twitter. I've had a Twitter account for so long, and I found it really interesting. If anybody's on there and hasn't joined any yet, is the Twitter has these live spaces, and let me know if anybody's listen to these, because they're just audio for the time being, I guess. But there's a lot of interesting spaces out there. I was listening to some of the ones that were happening over the weekend with this whole like FTX thing, and the people that join these. It was pretty amazing. There was like the CEO of some of the crypto, like Binance, if you've heard of one of the exchanges. They've had politicians on it. They've had it's pretty amazing how the people that will join and actually start talking about things. I learned a lot on the weekend, kind of what the whole thing that was going on, and just different people's opinions on what was happening and everything else, and people coming on and tempering people's fears a little bit with certain things. It was really interesting. So if you're on Twitter and haven't checked those out, check them out. There's sometimes I found they can be a little bit glitchy. Now I don't know if that was my phone, because I use an Android, and I hear they do work better on iPhones. That may be it. Sometimes I had to restart it to kind of get back in. But it was pretty interesting. A lot of good info. So I could see if there's some, because it'll obviously pop up if it's people that you follow that are hosting these spaces, or things that you might be interested in. And if you're on there and have different investment themes and that kind of things that you're following, there might be some good spaces to kind of check out. So really useful, I found, over the weekend. So I spent most of my days kind of just, because the one about FTX was going on for like constantly going on, so you could jump on throughout the day and listen in live. I think it went for like 20 hours or something like that, with just different people coming on all the time. Definitely really kind of interesting with what was going on. And it's like you'd be the one thing I really find with Twitter for news, and any kind of news, is you get it there first. Like you'll read something there, and then it'll hit the actual. You'll find it later on Yahoo News or Google News, like hours later, or if not next day. So a lot of the things that the main news outlets are talking about today in regards to FTX have like been discussed on Twitter, like on Saturday, which I always find really interesting how quick this information moves. Was really interesting. And I did have one more article. I always see, I pull these articles up, and then I lose them. I can't find it, because it was Algonquin, yeah. And then, it was a little bit on, we talked about it a little bit, and I had another question on, let me pull this up. And I don't know how they're doing today. We'll have to look, because I don't know if anybody bought anything, but is Cineplex. So let me just share the screen, because I've had comments, because I did an old video. Like I had a video on my channel from like a year ago, where I had some Cineplex, which I then sold. So it did really well on the last 2 days. Let's look today, and let me just see how it's actually doing. Today. It's up. Okay, it's up 1% today, which is good. I'll count that as a good day in this market. So I don't know. Did anybody buy? Like I got out of Cineplex when I made a bit of profit, which was good. So I was happy, and I just never looked at it again. I never, like, once I sold it, I was like, okay, that's, that's done. I'm not gonna look at it to worry about what I might have made. That's kind of what that works for me. But it did really well. And I think it's still down. If I look at it, it's actually probably still, I think it's still down from where I actually, if we look year to date, I think I sold around, I'd have to double check, but I think I sold around $12 or $13. So it's still under what I bought it for. But it was, so some people obviously hopefully doing well with Cineplex. There was a question about it on the channel, and it's like, this is the hard part, because it's like, something goes up like this, right? And everybody's like, should I get that now because it's going so crazy? It's like, I don't think so. Like, I don't know. I don't really try and chase things that much. You learn that. So I don't know if if any other people on the channel have it. Let me know if you did you just decide to sell it? Like, I think if I had bought it and all of a sudden a few days later it's gone up 12%, I would probably just take my money and run, especially the way the market is right now. But again, I'm not really I'm not a trader like that. So if anybody has bought it or is thinking of doing it, let me know your thoughts on that one. That was the only other article I really did have to talk about today. So if anybody has anything in particular, let me know. There's always articles on if you read the Motley, it's funny because the Motley Fool, it's like, kind of drives me crazy, because it's always like, they always try and have these like clickbaity titles. And like the one from 3 days ago, because it had gone up to 12, 13%, is asking people, is now the right time to buy Cineplex? It's like they just jump on. It's like they jump on it's like they always jump on what's trending in terms of things. So you'll probably see like, it's like the whatever gets people's eyeballs on their website for ads is kind of annoying, actually. So I try and avoid on my channel, especially because you can find that on YouTube. A lot of the creators are always, they do it because they're obviously, it's what's trending for people to buy. But it's like, it gets kind of annoying sometimes when they're just jumping on something just to get an eyeball, instead of providing really necessarily any value. So I try and stay away from that on this channel anyways, in terms of clickbaity stuff. Just share what I'm doing for the most part, instead of trying to jump on a bandwagon. In the mornings. Now, in terms of the channel this week, we're halfway through the stream. So, but in terms of the channel this week, I will do an update. What seems to be really working well, and let me know if this is, if everybody, I think everybody kind of gets on the same page. But I find what works really well is we're doing the live streams during the week, and then on usually about midweek, I'll try and do an update, and mostly only if I've done any kind of purchase and stuff, just to see how things are panning out. If I do a purchase, I'll do an update on the portfolio that way. I do always share on my community tab if I've done a purchase, because Wealthsimple lets me share that. So I find that kind of gets that out. And then I will do a video, but then I've started to kind of just less portfolio updates, because it's just kind of, it's kind of working. It's kind of doing its thing now, but do it on the weekend to see, how the week went, looking more like long-term instead of like daily. It's almost, you don't want to look at your portfolio every day, because if you look at it every day, you lose sight of I find you lose a bit of sight of the long term, because it's easy to get hung up on seeing the day-to-day price of something, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down, or mostly down, depending on what's happening. But then you kind of almost start to second guess yourself. I find you kind of like, you start to think, you get into your head a little bit too much, going like, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have. But then you have to you almost have to step back and think back to your what your actual plan is, and the time frame is so important, that if you're not thinking of needing to use these investments for minimum 10 years, then I think it's you have to get back into that, mindset. And that's why also too, not having to panic. I mean, we were talking with Change of Spare, talking about buying Tesla. It's down today, and it's like, okay, yeah, but if it's a long term, I'm not going to like jump on some, for me anyways, personally, I'm not going to, obviously, if it's not in your budget to put into an investment, doesn't make sense to jump on something just because it's, it is down. You have to really just stick with your goals, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is the long term, and just stick with that plan to go forward. And it's it will pay off. I think it will pay off for everybody in the long run, as we hopefully get through. We'll get through. That's the thing. Everything repeats, right? And I was actually reading a Twitter thread from Kathy Woods. Now, people know Kathy Woods, ARK Invest. That's a whole other, if you're a follower of her or not, or that type of investment, obviously risky with what she invests in, for sure. I know there is, I forget who it was on the channel that bought some ARK. I don't have it, but she was talking about how she's thinking inflation is going to come down quite quickly. There was a good thread on that, and she's kind of basically saying that it's going to come down. It's going to still be volatile though, so it'll still be up and down. But it was Change to Spare. You're right, you did do ARK, and I think you probably have done okay. I forget what one you have, but I think you might have done okay in the last, because you bought it before it did jump up quite good. But Change to Spare, if you I don't know if you have Twitter, or even if you don't, you can go on the web and find it. Is check out Kathy Wood. She did a really interesting thread on inflation and where she thinks what's going to happen. So you might find that interesting. If I can, it's always kind of weird to share links in chat. So, but you can find her it's on her Twitter feed. It's public, so it's easy to find. I found that really interesting, to see what's happened. I guess really we could see, we've seen such spikes in inflation anyways. There's no reason necessarily why it can't come back around. I think we're going to still have that with the core, with the other, if we're talking about adding in, they add in the fuel and everything, that makes it a little bit different, but we'll see how that turns out. She was basically talking about how it's going to turn into basically kind of, she's thinking like the Roaring 20s, where things are just going to go crazy in a good way, I guess. Not too badly, but dropping a bit today. Yeah, that's the thing. Do you have that in your TFSA, or is it in another like unregistered? That would be interesting to see, because then you could maybe trade it. But if you're into that, it's definitely, I think, a long term. What she's thinking is it's a long term investment with those ones, with the companies. Lots of tech, lots of pharmaceutical that are definitely, I wouldn't say they're risky, but they're more volatile and more, that's more of a long-term, I think, play on a sector that you think is going to take off. Yeah, I'm kind of the same, right? I have, the majority of, obviously people can see I'm not a trader either. I have the core, the core, I keep saying that, I think MC was the one that coined that phrase, is VDY and VFV are the majority holdings on mine, but then I do have other percentages that are definitely on the riskier risk. Risk is such a weird thing though too, because it's, if you believe in it, it's not necessarily risky. You're just able to handle that volatility, right, and handle that risk for the potential reward. It's like anything. We could, not to pick one out of one, any company or share, out of the thing. But look at what happened to Shopify. Look at what just happened to Algonquin. So everything has obviously risk right now. So it's almost kind of like, or Facebook, or tech is obviously getting really hit right now. But I was reading a thing with there was a big thing with, Facebook laid off 11,000 employees, but I think if you actually go back in the numbers, they're still net up employees from 2021. So it's like they're still, they're, it's almost kind of like, you have to really look at the numbers in terms of what making sense. And there we go. So my plan is to sell and buy dividend stock. Yeah, that's kind of where I am with the ones I have, like with some of the digital currency ones, is the BTC.Y has really gotten hit, same with some other ones, but if that's paying decent dividends right now, obviously the dividends have dropped because of the way the market is right now. But if that still goes up, and if I do get some capital, like if I do get some growth on those, I will certainly, I'm not tied to them by any means. So I would probably sell them and look at, like, I think with VDY is pays decent dividends. I'd have to weigh it out to see what's coming between some other ones at the time, but that's kind of my plan as well too. I think we'll just see how it goes. In the meantime, just I think dollar cost averaging and then carry through. That's kind of my philosophy. And in the meantime, if you have dividend stocks, just keep reinvesting those too. It's nice to see, like, I've really noticed it the last like month or two, where the dividends have really started to, like, you start to really pay attention. You're like, oh, this is actually starting to produce something, because last month I'd have to double check on my spreadsheet, but it was, I think, close to $40, so it's nice to see it each month, even though the value, obviously the portfolio is down, but the dividends are still increasing, which is nice. And obviously, if you're buying a stock that pays dividends when it's down in price, and you plan to hold it anyways, you're still you're locking in that price you bought it for. So as long as their dividends continue, you're making decent money. But yeah, there's never any guarantees, as we find at sea with everything going on. It's definitely there's no guarantees. There's no quick way to do any of this either, right? You just have to be consistent. Anybody that says it's like, easy to get rich quick, doesn't work like that. There's a lot of work and a lot of time. You might luck out on the odd thing, but that's pretty rare. You just have to slow and steady, I think slow and steady wins the race for regular investors like us. That's for sure. We're not, I'm not here to find something that's gonna go crazy. It would be nice, but I don't think I'm, for as maybe volatile or risky some of the things I have in my portfolio, in the big picture, I'm not putting tons of my investment towards that. So if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world either. You never want to lose, but you have to take some, take some risk on things. And especially if you like the industry, right? And the companies that they're investing in, with like ARC, for example, a lot of those shares. So there we go. Always fun. This is always fun. And let's see, everything's can't watch. That's one of the ones like you definitely, that's one of the ones, like the volatile ones, you definitely shouldn't watch every day, because that's when it's going to drive you crazy, and that's when you start to maybe second guess what you bought, so but there we go. All right. Well, that's all I had for this morning, everybody. I know it's Monday. Everybody's kind of getting back to work for the long weekend. I have a gazillion emails that I do have to get to. It's funny how these days jump in. We try to usually go for an hour, but we've been going for about 40 minutes or so. So I'll get through the last little bit of questions, and then I am going to start my day of work a little bit early. And there you go. But this is a good way to kind of close things off. Change the spirit. If you're scared to use it, you wouldn't invest. That's a good way to invest with anything. It don't if you're really scared to lose something, or if it really keeps you up at night like that, you probably have too much exposure to whatever that is, and that could be anything. If it's not nothing wrong with having cash in your bank account if it helps you sleep at night and it doesn't panic you. You definitely don't want to be putting your rent or mortgage payment money into a risky investment like that. So on that note, though, I am going to end the live stream a little bit early today. I had my phone beep here, and being Monday after a long weekend, things are always seem to be more crazy. But we will be back. We will be back tomorrow. I will have that scheduled on the stream. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's always appreciated to see all the regulars here, and it's always fun to do this. So if you haven't done so already, hit that like button before you jump out. And if you do any purchase today, jump over to the community tab and make sure you leave a comment on one of the polls, or if you did buy anything today. I'll put that up later on, and then you can join in that way. So thanks for watching, everybody. It's Monday. Have a good rest of the day, and we will catch you tomorrow.